Hello, my name's Lorenzo de la Cruz, and I'll be discussing the film The Wailing, released in the year 2016 and written and directed by Nong Hong Jin. Here's the movie trailer that I'll be playing for you guys, and it'll be starting right now.
나아가 인제까지 본 악질 중에서 갑 중에 갑이요.
요새 자꾸 동네에서 사람 죽어나가는 거 싹 다 그 일본 양반이 오나 새끼 일들 아니오. 세상의 이것이다. 내 딸 왜 어디서?
잠만은 비상이야. 그때 진상의 사람들이라. 아까 무당한테 댕겨왔네. 집안에 귀신이 들었대요.
그놈이랑 뭔 연관이 있는 거요? 그냥 반 사람 아니오.
내가 대실수를 해본네.
여긴 못 들어오는데.
우리 어디냐고?
맘 단단히 먹어야 되네.
Okay, now that you guys have an understanding of what the film might be about, I will start with a short plot. So, essentially, a police officer of Yeoksong must use the help of others and investigate a malevolent phenomenon occurring in his village after the arrival of a Japanese man. The malevolent phenomenon has affected locals and eventually his daughter, who he must now save before time runs out, or else he may lose her, the rest of his family, and his own life. So this is the character that we'll be following throughout the film. His name is Jung-gu, and this is the location of the film of Gyeongsong in South Korea. So facts about the film. The Korean title is also called Gyeongsong, so it's the same name as where the film takes place. And the director and writer is both Ne Hong Jin. Here's a picture of this guy right here. The film was released in 2016, and the genre is depicted as drama, horror, thriller, and mystery. The film had a pretty big budget of $6 million or $6,420,000. But in the US and Canada box office, it would make $786,633. The film itself would win three awards and 9 nominations. It's pretty impressive. And even the director himself, Ne Hong Jin, would win 15 awards and receive 14 nominations because of his film. The cast in the film would involve Kwak Do-won, I think I'm saying that right, who plays as Jong-gu, the main character. There's Hyojin, she plays the mother-in-law. Jang So-yeon, the wife of the main character, and Hyojin, which is the daughter of Jong-gu, who is played by Kim Won-hee, who does a pretty amazing performance. The mysterious woman in the film, played by Chun Woo-hee, and John Kunimura, the Japanese man who's the main antagonist, and as well as Il-gwang, the shaman in the movie, who is played by Hwang Joo-min. Everybody here did an amazing job. It was absolutely outstanding. Cultural components that I noticed in this film was shamanism, and I feel like that'll be pretty obvious because the film itself is very supernatural. So it only makes sense to include this because, well, it's just part of the culture. Uh, Anyways, shamanism is known as musok. It's a spiritual tradition that has been practiced in Korea for centuries and is classified as a folk religion. It involves practitioners called mudang and rituals meant to ward off spirits or even communicate with the spirits. And also another cultural component I noticed was how they would wrap cloth around trees. Um, and also it is also part of shamanic rituals. And wrapping trees are it's as a practice of making just trees into praying trees for people in villages so that they can go pray or write wishes tied to the trees. And these trees are called Sung Wang Dang. Uh, the cloth wrapped around the trees represents the connection between the living and the spirit world. Two other cultural components that I noticed was a shaman whistle, which Ogong would do whenever he finally arrives to the home of Gongju. The shaman whistle, which is the practice, is rooted in their belief system and involves them communicating with spirits and facilitating spiritual energy, also associated with attracting negative spirits. So in the beginning of the film, whenever he was introduced, he was kind of doing like a little investigation, kind of just checking out where the negative energy is, and he would eventually find a soy sauce container, or yeah, just a huge, really big container of soy sauce, and would have a dead crow in it. The other cultural component that I found was acupuncture. So this, they would show Junggu having acupuncture the day after confronting the Japanese man. And in doing so, it would result in him waking up with his body somewhat paralyzed, or at least half of it. So he'd have to go and get assistance for it. So in South Korea, acupuncture, it's traditional healing practice that has changed over the centuries, which blends ancient wisdom with modern techniques and is rooted in the Sangsang constitution system, which puts individual body parts into categories. Special film features I found were the contrast between the shaman rituals and the demon rituals, which involves the use of mise-en-scène, showing the different requirements and just different needs for each ritual in order for it to be successful. So the scene involves two different shots of the shaman's death hex ritual and the Japanese man's ritual with different items and requirements. As both rituals proceed, both rituals go at a faster pace. The scene will display the difference in the ritual requirements and spiritual power between the shaman and the Japanese man, and it would show the audience the superior power of the Japanese man. So here's where Ogwang was performing the death hex in order to save the daughter, Hyojin, and you can see how he needed to make fire. He needed assistance with multiple people to play music, and in order to help perform it, he would need meat. Um, You'd also have to perform a dance as well. And fun fact, during the entire shoot of this scene, it literally took 10 minutes, and they did it with no break. So it was just everyone was constantly just or everybody stayed in character for the entire time, and it was all in one shot. And here is the scene with the Japanese man whenever he's performing his rituals, and you can see his requirements where he's in his outfit. He needs the crows hanging, and you may not see it, but he has his drum, which he uses as he chants. Uh, Next cultural component, or sorry, film feature is rain during death and with the blue lighting. So rain symbolizing spiritual connection and the color blue symbolizing sadness and spirituality as well. It would be used during events of deaths in the film to display a tragic event, but also implying something spiritual was connected to the event. A short reflection. I really enjoyed the film. There were times where I did feel confused, such as what the Japanese man and the mysterious woman is supposed to be. However, I believe the director, Ne Hong Jin, did this on purpose to keep the audience on their feet and unsure what the protagonist is up against. Because a common thing with trying to keep people scared is that the less they know, the more they fear. While the more they know, it kind of gives them more of an understanding and maybe a chance to fight back. And I thought the ending was impressive because of the great divide created and the limited amount of time the main character had that would decide him and his family's fate. The audience is given the same amount of information as the main character, and it is only at the end of the film when Ne Hongjin gives the audience information that the main character isn't given. So being able to receive this information, it almost hurts to have this information because you don't have a way to help the main character, to help Jong-gu and his family. These are my discussion questions for everybody watching. First one, who do you find the most interesting in the cast of characters? And second question, what are ways evil spirits or demons are warded off in your culture? Here are my references. Okay. And that should be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day.